Hello, my friends. Welcome to this super quick review of the Agile Practice Guide. We're going to take a look at the Agile Practice Guide. I'm going to show you what it's broken down into, and I'm going to be asking you a few questions along the way. So why don't we start off with a question? I am curious to know if you know the answer to this one. It's a multiple choice question, just like your exam. It says you are the servant leader on a new company initiative. The team is conducting a review meeting with the product owner, and there are disagreements about whether the deliverables, the product increment, for the iteration are acceptable. What step was not adequately completed? What do you think? All right. If you need more time, hit the pause button. I am going to reveal the answer in three, two, one. All right. The answer to this, my friends, is D. The definition of done was not properly addressed by the customer or product owner. When you take a look at the other options, it can be A, because that's not the job of the Scrum Master or coach. B, doesn't really have any bearings on this. It happens at the end of the sprint. And C, the product owner failed to adequately define acceptance criteria. This is not the case. In a lot of instances, the acceptance criteria is not necessarily defined by the product owner. But really what this alludes to is whether the deliverables are acceptable. This is talking about the definition of done. So saying a product owner failed to adequately define acceptance criteria, no, that's a collaborative thing. We cannot pin that on the product owner. Remember your user story, role, goal, benefit. Remember the reverse of the index card is where you talk about that acceptance criteria. That is not the product owner's job. You can't say product owner failed to do this. No, this is talking about deliverables and the definition of done. I hope that makes sense to you. So let's jump into our discussion about the Agile Practice Guide. The Agile Practice Guide is a document that the PMI have created as a result of industry need. The project management body of knowledge guide is great, but people need a little bit more understanding about Agile, how it worked, and some great ideas that have emerged from the Agile Practice Guide as PMI partnered with the Agile Alliance. Project teams have used Agile for a while. The Agile Manifesto is great. PMI wanted to amp that up a little bit, and very rightfully so. It has given people a lot of definition and understanding of Agile. It has also enabled them see the various pieces in what we call the Agile umbrella and understand what Agile is at a more detailed level. So I am going to rapidly walk you through what this contains. One, an introduction to why this book in the first place. Two, an introduction to Agile, definable work versus high uncertainty work. This is where we look at the Stacy complexity model and the continuum of life cycles. The Agile Manifesto and Mindset is splendid. If you haven't read the 4 values and the 12 principles of Agile, this will help you understand what is in the Agile Manifesto. Lean and Kanban, understanding that Agile is one of the subsets of lean thinking. Understanding that Kanban as well is part of that thinking. And they give you an image to sensitize you to this on page 11. So you see all the Agile pieces in the Agile umbrella circled. So you have Scrumban, Crystal, Scrum, AUP, XP, all of them. And then you have Kanban leaning into Agile. So you can see that lean and Agile, Agile and Kanban, I beg your pardon, are subsets of lean. So they give you an image to see that. And then they talk about uncertainty risk and life cycle selection. And if you're working on high uncertainty work or low uncertainty work or very predictable work or not, they give you the Stacy complexity model to check that out. They also give you page 18 and 19, which show you iterative characteristics, incremental characteristics, agile, and predictive characteristics. And then we go into chapter 3, which talks about life cycle selections. Now, this is going even deeper into what I just said, because you're now beginning to see the Stacy complexity model amped up into the continuum of life cycles. The idea about agile suitability filters, which also leads you to the annex, by the way, of this really cool publication. We also have the different types of life cycles of a hybrid nature, predictive followed by agile, predictive with a little bit of agile injected into it, or agile with a little bit of predictive, or agile followed by a predictive rollout, or however you see it. It was predictive and agile together. I think that's the other one. So all of this is on page, I believe, 27, 28. You see all of these hybrid life cycles talked about. Really good dialogue that they have in there. And then it goes into implementing agile, creating an agile environment. So understanding the servant leader, the role of the servant leader, what servant leaders do, project managers using servant leadership, and how project managers should think. And it's really just all about the tenets of servant leadership wrapped up really nicely. What do servant leaders do? Well, they could communicate, they develop community, they are empathetic, things like that. They all talked about team composition, agile teams, agile roles, the concept of generalizing specialists, T-shaped scales, broken comb, I-shaped, all that stuff is in there. Team structures, how those look in the world of agile, the importance of having dedicated team members, what team workspaces could look like, the concept of the fishbowl, many things like that. Then we go into chapter 5, which is implementing agile, delivering in an agile environment. So here we talk about the importance of chartering. Project charters, team charters, very important. They both do different things. Your project charter, which they also refer to as an agile project charter, does something totally different than a team charter, also known as a team agreement or known as team contract or social contract. All these terms are mentioned in chapter 5. You got to be really good with the concept of chartering, especially your team charter. Okay, because I know many of you know project charters from previous worlds, but just be aware that the product roadmap, the project charter, the team charter, they all do different things. All right. Then common agile practices I've talked about here, retrospectives, backlog preparation, backlog refinement. And I mean, some of these, we call them other things in the world of Scrum, for example. So we would say backlog refinement and sprint planning instead of backlog refinement and backlog preparation. But it's pretty much the same thing. Daily stand-ups or daily scrum, demos or reviews, which is really code for sprint review, planning for iteration-based agile, which is really more along the lines of what you do leading up to your backlog being ready for the sprints and so on. Execution practices that help the team deliver value, also talked about here. Iterations and increments, how those help deliver work in product. Troubleshooting agile, measurements in agile projects, lots of great stuff here. That goes into chapter 6, which talks about change management and understanding the concept of change at a macro level and a medium level and a micro level. It's all going to help you if you're one taking the exam. What I like about chapter 6 is if you're getting ready for an agile transformation, well, these are things you better be aware of, not just by reading them, but also giving them a lot of think. So if you're in a PMO, what should an agile PMO be thinking? Value. An agile PMO should be invitation oriented. You want those people who are going to engage with the PMO to deliver value to be invited, right? An agile PMO has multidisciplinary facets to it. You want people who are capable and aware to deliver value from a number of perspectives, whatever those are, depending on the company need. Then we talk about organizational structure and evolving the organization. And I'll just say here that go to the annex because there's a very helpful tool, the Agile Radar, and that's going to help you understand if your organization is a good fit for Agile or not. And chapter 7, call to action. So my friends, that's the summary. And I know lots of you struggle. Lots of you struggle with Agile. And for that reason, I put together a program that's going to be a recurring program. It's going to be a recurring program. And you need to go on down to the website, hpmexam.com, because if you go to hpmexam.com, you see the vehicles that we've got for you. Week by week, we're going to be rolling out some vehicles. So we've got a vehicle for those people who need to go deeper into the Agile Practice Guide. That's starting on the 12th of June, right? And it's going to be like a recurring program. So always check back at hpmexam.com because this is going to be a rolling program to help those of you who are struggling with understanding the Agile Practice Guide. I know lots of folks have been meaning to read this book, but they've hit a brick wall and they're like, oh, I haven't read it and I've got my exam coming up. Well, let's help you. So you see, I very succinctly went through it, but when you come for the training, what we're going to do is we're going to blow this up and we are going to focus a lot more on the details in the Agile, practice guide. I know it seems Can I do that in 3 hours? Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of damage we could do to misunderstandings and uncertainties in 3 hours. There's a whole lot. In fact, you got no idea about the damage we could do in a good way in 3 hours. So if you've been struggling with whether it's PMBOK guide stuff or agile practice guide stuff, you need to be in this 3 hour boot camp. You see, a lot of folks go for training of weeks and weeks and weeks, hours and hours and hours. But I can assure you, those trainings are not more effective than what we've got here. Because what we've got here has been distilled, it's been bottled, it's concentrated, it's going to hit that misunderstanding like a ton of bricks. Before you know it, you're going to come away. You're going to see the light. Trust me. You're going to see the light. You're going to know what you don't know. Lots of you don't know what you don't know. You need to be here. You need to be here. All right. So go on down to the website. It is hpmexam.com. We have a combination of courses. We have a course that is 9 hours long. We have one that's 3 hours long. The one that's 3 hours long is going to help you know what you don't know. The one that's 9 hours long is going to help you fine tune your focus. But go on down to the site, okay, depending on where you are in the process, hpmexam.com. Why is it HPM exam? Because it's a hybrid project management exam. That's really what it is, right? So hpmexam.com. Go on there. We've got ridiculous rates going on right now for the early birds. We want to see you there. All right. I hope this gives you some ideas about what the exam could present, how the exam could word certain questions. I'm going to ask you just 3 more questions, and then we're going to call it a day. Are you ready to answer my questions? Just 3. Here's the first one. The project team has completed the PSI, and the next meeting to follow will be a demonstration of the increment. Which entity facilitates this meeting? Hit the pause button if you need more time. 3, 2, 1. The answer to this, the product owner. The product owner facilitates this meeting. They own it. We're talking about demos, reviews. If the product owner deems it fit to invite certain entities, then the product owner will invite those people. All right, let's go to our next question. Next question. The final meeting in the sprint is vital. The purpose of the meeting is to plan ways to increase quality and effectiveness. This will involve inspection of how the last sprint went with regards to individuals, interactions, processes, tools, and their definition of done. Who runs this meeting? If you need more time, hit the pause button. 3, 2, 1. All right, my friends, the answer to this one, yes, it's the development team. This refers to the retrospective run by the development team, not by the Scrum Master, not by the product owner, not by any particular one person, but the team as a whole. All right, let's go to our next one. You're in the middle of a decision-making session to decide upon the best quality approaches for your project. Which of the following would you use? Select all that apply. Hit the pause button if you need more time. You ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. The answer to this, my friends, is everything except story points. B, C, and D. All right. Story points is used as an estimating approach. It's not for voting. You ready for the final one? I'll just throw one more in. Here's your final one. You're working on an agile software implementation project after the product vision has been cast and sprint planning. As the team starts creating product increment during the first sprint, they discover the initial estimates for the stories were significantly off. Some estimates exaggerated the amount of work and time needed. Some understated the amount of work and time that would be needed. At the next retrospective, what would the best advise for reasoning this problem in the future? What would be the best advice for resolving this problem in the future? If you need more time, hit the pause button. I'm going to reveal the answer. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. The answer to this is not a problem that needs to be fixed. Why? Because with Agile, there's a high level of uncertainty at the beginning of the project, and it is expected the initial estimates will not have a high level of precision or accuracy. All right, I will give a big shout out to my buddy, Mark, who put these questions together. Some of these questions are from a buddy, Mark, and I appreciate that. I hope you had fun with it. Don't forget, my friends, those of you who are just coming, we got to break down the Agile Practice Guide, and we are doing so on hpmexam.com. That's right, hpmexam.com. Go on down there and sign up because it is happening tomorrow. And it's going to happen, like I said, in rolling waves. We have 3-hour courses, 9-hour courses, 3-hour courses, 9-hour courses. If you miss the 9-hour, jump into the 3-hour because we are likely to make you an offer for the 9-hour. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a big payoff. However you see it, you're going to get the knowledge, you're going to get the understanding, you're going to break down the ridiculous behemoth, the PMBOK guide into tiny little chunks. You're going to break down the Agile Practice Guide. You're going to come away with a solid understanding. Here's the syllabus. Part 1, Agile Practice Guide, right? Rapid review. 2, PMBOK Guide, rapid review. This is covering all of the processes and all the chapters. So what are you waiting for? We're waiting for you to pull that trigger, hpmexam.com. All right. Thank you very much, my friends, and I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.